And then finally we'll be answering a question, if they did they have malice aforethought? Because you can cause a death, but you didn't have malice aforethought, and of course that may be manslaughter. We are dealing with death. So they need not just to prove that they committed the offense, but there is malice aforethought. I have chosen to take the path of looking at the evidence that relates to the first accused first in relation to that issue, and then go to the evidence relating to the second accused person for ease of understanding and flow of the judgment. And so right now I'm analyzing the evidence the prosecution have adduced in answer to the question as to whether the first accused person caused the death or killed, bluntly put, the deceased. Under this particular issue, I have discussed several items just for understanding of the parties. And let me just mention some of the items that fall under this. There is the issue of identification parade. There is the issue of the clothes which the accused person was wearing. There's the issue of a stolen ID card. There's the issue of destruction of evidence. There's the issue of the gun. And so I will try and flow the issues in what I believe is a chronological manner. Again, for ease of understanding. Now, if I may fast track us, I have, in answering this question, which is a very critical question and very critical part of the judgment, summarized the prosecution's submissions, summarized the victim's family submission, and summarized the first accused submissions. And Professor Namba treated me to good substance, not good in the sense that none of the other people's substance, but in terms of volume. So a bit of this judgment, which I think runs into about 30 pages or 35 pages, is really a summary of what the parties submitted. Okay? But I would like to read it out in brief for us to move. So, the prosecution, of course, advanced their case that the first accused person killed the deceased. And they did that by inviting this court to look at the conduct of the first accused person before, during, and after the murder. And in inviting this court to do that, the court was invited to note the following, that one, before the murder, it is the prosecution case that the first accused person stole the ID card of Dominic Becerra Harold and went to use it to access the residence and the premises where the deceased was staying. That is the submission of the prosecution. It is the submission of the prosecution that the first accused person had extra cloth, changed into those clothes, went to the deceased house, committed the murder, changed out of those clothes, and does it. It is the prosecution case that the first accused person armed himself with a gun to the deceased house to use it to subdue, to intimidate, to coerce her to submit before the murder or in the course of the murder. It is the submission of the prosecution case that after the accused person, that is the first accused person, had committed the offense, he went and destroyed the cloth, which would have been used as evidence in this case. It is the prosecution case. He then shot himself to divert the attention of the investigators from investigating the murder charge to investigating a shooting incident. The family of the deceased concurs, and associate themselves with the prosecution case